like, if they can get off to a good start as CT or T, it doesn't really matter. They can still roll with that. But honestly, if I'm an underdog in this kind of a situation, I would much rather start on the T side, simply because you're not expected to necessarily set the same kind of pace as you would on the CT side. Or at least, to me, it feels worse when you start losing rounds on the CT side, because it feels like that's somewhere you should get off to a good start.
Well, speaking of good starts, it's pretty good going for Astralis so far. Able to, they're not preventing the bomb bomb, but the killing is going quite well so far. That said, Sixer is going to just throw a wrench into the works, but still there's a swath of Danes ready to respond, and they will start pressuring that bomb as Happy is last man standing. Would love a Molotov, I'm sure, but he doesn't want to have one. Has to just fight with this Glock. There's only so much you can do. Well, pretty, I feel like this is probably one of the most standard pistol rounds you can really see. Bomb goes down on B, CTs clean up and get the win.
Honestly, first knife, bitches. What is that? Is that like the first knife you unboxed or what?
It couldn't be, right? Or I guess maybe unboxed, yeah.
Right, we need to tweet Dupree right now.
Because it couldn't be the first knife he ever got. There's no way.
Yeah, those weren't.
Because butterfly knives took a while before they got into the game.
Yeah. What does first knife?
I'm really just playing, man.
If Dupree answers you mid-game,
and Dupree CS.
That'd be pretty legit, yeah. I mean, he's got like one of those fancy watches, and see the mentions.
Oh yeah, them Apple watches. I felt like that nade landed inside of Sixer and somehow did more damage to RPK.
Inside.
That's pretty brutal.
I thought you were going to go there. Actually, that reminds me of a very off topic, but it is me after all. Kevin Randleman, rest in peace. He had a staph infection, which is something you often get from training on gym mats and so on, and it created he had a massive hole under his armpit. So if you are at home and you do a Google search for Kevin Randleman armpits, he had like a hole in his body.
Certain things you're gonna have a hard time explaining how ended up in your search history.
All right, I'm gonna show you guys.
Just the places where James' mind goes. That's,
where his Google searches goes.
He's a mixed martial artist.
That should be a series. Trivia with James.
So, there you go.
World.
This is the
it's,
hole.
Yeah, it's just a legit. Yeah, it's just a legit hole.
So it could land inside his body. He had a hole.
Jesus.
Yeah, have a look at that, Dan.
It's just it's actual hole.
Yep.
That's charming, James. Charming.
How did that grenade do almost no damage? Did you see where that landed? They've got no Kevlar.
It's like right on their feet. Grenades in this game, man.
So that's
so weird. They tell so many lies, don't they?
I would love to see.
Lies.
I would love to see. You know, like in fighting games, you've got hitboxes, right? There must be like a.
You have those in CS as well.
Yeah, but I mean for grenades.
Yeah, I know.
Right, like the spreads. I don't know, man.
The hurt box.
Yeah, because how did that do like almost no damage? I don't know. Anyway, it's buy time. Envy going to be whipping out the AK. Sixer contemplating an AWP. Doesn't quite have the money for a helmet. Seems he'll go 5 AKs.
Astralis' aggression on this map was really awesome at E-League. We saw them, I think, was it against Fnatic? I think it may have been, yeah. Where they were just basically just taking like just pieces of the map away at specific timings, and it was always very smart. Like, it always made sense with the entire sort of topography of the team on the CT side. And Fnatic could just never respond to it, basically. And it so often worked out as a kill for either Device or Dupree. Device opening from the back, Dupree playing Pop Dog, never getting punished in that particular Fnatic game.
Did Device not see the foot?
I'm not sure that he did.
Oh,
but he will see that now.
I think he did see it. Because he has repositioned, but maybe he didn't want to... I mean, if he tries to take that shot, it could be that someone pops out and shoots him in the head, so...
I still like the fact that he goes aggressive instead of just kind of giving up completely on any sort of map control in Ivy, because it forces him into a position in backline, most likely, that doesn't really allow him to do anything at all if there's an actual split coming out from EnVyUs. So the fact that he tries to go aggressive, potentially catches one of the Ivy players off guard is just a neat little choice.
Well, it's a bum rush into the A site from Envy, and there are players on fire. 3-on-3. Device will give his team a quick advantage. Manages not to get killed in a trade after missing that shot. 35 seconds, and Envy know they need to move quickly before the third CT repositions from the B bomb site. 2 players in connector, and there's kind of a flank coming in towards the Ivy position. So as Envy don't get the bomb down, they'll have less places to put it, especially with the device essentially on the site, cover from Zipex disappearing, but leaving XMS on 10 HP.
Not an easy spot to be in, and there's Device with that CZ. Seen a lot from those recently, now down to the one tap master ready to get shot in the back. And I really like that round from EnVyUs, just a super delayed sort of contact right out of main and Pop Dog. And I like it just because if you looked at Astralis' utility during, let's say, 30 seconds left, I think 2 or 3 players had almost max utility because it surprised them so much they were not able to throw the counter grenades because they had to have their guns out in the defense of the site. So that kind of tells you that EnVyUs' plan did work to that extent. They got into positions where they could get frags, where they could potentially win the round. They just sort of got outplayed individually in the end. But otherwise, I think it was a pretty good round for Envy.
I think I definitely agree with that. And if you look at the situation that Astralis found themselves in as well, even though they're up in man numbers, they had, I think it was Dupree down to 12 HP and Device at 34. So even in that situation, it could very easily lead to pickups for EnVyUs. I think they could have played the 2v3 a little bit differently in terms of just actually moving together, because you can see as I think it was XMS who moved up towards the bomb train, he didn't really have any sort of way of connecting with Scream to find any potential trade kills on the bomb site, and they knew the Device was around that area, or at least pinch on him, but it doesn't really matter in the end. Astralis is going to pick up the eco round, or anti-eco round pretty easily without any significant losses.
Yeah, it's pretty smooth sailing for the time being. And, I mean, their record on train, I think, is actually pretty ridiculous. I mean, they are certainly one of the best train teams in the world. And as far as how they, from a technical perspective and a strategic perspective, I think they're definitely top 3 in the world in train.
On the subject of significant losses, there aren't many kills that Envy are getting at the moment. Scream hasn't got a single kill yet, but the point is this is a good situation for Astralis to build some cash. See, one guy's got 4 kills, everybody else 1 or none. So it's not really there for Envy at the moment, and this is too good a start for Astralis as far as Envy are concerned.
And I think this goes back to something you mentioned, Dan, earlier, the fact that Astralis like to take map control gradually on different places of the maps. And you can see they're kind of just ignoring Ivy in this scenario where, and as a result of that, they have Sipnix playing way more forward on the inner bomb site. Now that he's going to fall off and go over towards higher, probably see some more aggressive movements outside in yard. I like this. This allows for quick rotations. And obviously you get that information so much sooner that you're allowed to make more qualified decisions as to where you want to set up your defense. But it doesn't allow for enemies actually to roam around and get a lot of free space.
And you can see the way Zipex was just strafing at B. He had no intention of actually taking a duel there. He just wanted to get the information.
Was that Happy flashing for RPK?
I don't know, but RPK with the taps has opened up the B bomb site. The bomb starting to rotate. He's got himself a lot of map control, and Astralis are not really rotating just yet, holding steadfast on A.
I think that makes sense. I think they're too afraid to just sort of start to meander into B, and if one is a fake, obviously they give up the A site in their positions, and then 2, they probably just want to set up a save. And indeed, they're going to try to hold onto these guns. This to me was the RPK special, actually. Just RPK just putting himself in a spot where he's going to win, or be in a 1 versus 1 on the upper areas of B, gets that first frag, just keeps pushing the envelope there, and just.
Well, you say putting himself in a spot, but I think his team are putting him in that spot.
Yeah, I think Happy flash from the pop flash on Sipnix, because I don't see how RPK, like even with an underhand throw, I don't think it would be like as effective to the point, because it's so far away, so the flash will dissipate too fast for Sipnix to actually get caught out. So I think it was just a solid setup from Envy. And I think the initial plan wasn't even to have, obviously, you don't expect RPK to be able to just open up the entire bomb site on his own. So I think the idea that EnVyUs has in that situation is that they'll send in RPK, best case scenario, in their mind, he gets 1 frag and he creates a rotation. Yeah, exactly. But in any case, I think the initial goal was always to go out towards yard, and I think that's also kind of what Astralis banked on, as they didn't make a single rotation towards the inner bomb site afterwards, because they were kind of hoping that Envy would overplay their hand or outthink themselves. Money's not really an issue for them at this point.
Interestingly, Astralis starting with 2 people in the B bomb site. Normally, people would start with 1, but some teams will go for the fast play to try to almost bust the B bomb site.
One of the teams that actually play a lot of people, or like 2 players on the inner bomb side, is Envy. And they still do like this wonky setup on higher that I've never liked with Happy. When they go to double ops, they put up one guy by the ladder and then have Happy on higher, aiming with the op, and it always seems to like, well, bite them in the ass.
It's a great shot from Device. Not going to get too greedy. Reset this position. Happy with a good flashbang. Envy are on point with those flashes as well, even when they're moving quickly to this area. Saw it in the previous rounds. Although some CT Yorpers, if they're going towards B, they'll wait for that flash, expectant of it, and then peek afterwards, just standing in front of the wall. 45 seconds for Envy. A man down, and Glaves making life much worse for them. Sixer, how do we trade in this situation? With a crouch peek. But is there enough? Are there enough Envy players left to plant the bomb?
Really playing that clock down. The bomb is in no man's land. This is kind of a big issue. You've got to go collect that. It's going to take some time. I don't know if there'll be enough time to get back onto the train. To go for the plant scream, just trying to clear out some space there, but it might all be for naught, as it appears so. Is Sixer, it's nothing to do but to save. No time to grab that bomb, unfortunately, for him. And yeah, this is a brutal situation for EnVyUs. That reset, man, it's so hard. Just Sixer left. He's of course saved the AWP, and thankfully XMS and Happy have some cash in the bank, but he loses this AWP. Oh god, that's
Cause I'm in too deep, blah blah blah, you know.
Significantly worse situation, losing that AWP now.
That's a bad mistake.
Yeah, that's very curious as to why he wants to go for a peek in that situation. I think if he just hides in the corner, he'll survive just fine.
I mean, there are angles at close range where it can be an easy shot, but he's just went so deep and exposed himself to more than one potential position. He doesn't know there are lots of people there, but...
So just an unnecessary risk to take.
Yeah. So the numbers game coming out for Envy. Zipek's not going to reveal the position just yet, going to raise the alarm to his teammates. And there's a 2-man rotation into the B bomb site, so Device has got angles on long, on the lower area, and Zipex will back off, but keep an eye on the upper part.
This should be a pretty ugly slaughter coming in from Astralis.
Well, they go down the ramp, Device ready. There's the first flick shot, great connection. This setup indeed very formidable, and it's going to remain that way as XMS goes down. Just cheeky kill at the end, but that's about it for EnVyUs. 7 rounds for Astralis. They are in the most comfortable of places.
I think this would be a cool demo to watch from Zipex's perspective, purely from all the jewels he chooses not to take.
Well, that's a sign of a smart player, right? Like, kind of knowing your limits and not necessarily falling to greed each and every time. It's like you said, he spots the arm out from EnVyUs initially instead of just running into it and potentially getting gunned down by 5 people and allowing Envy to have an easy bomb plant. Just sets up with the rotation.
That's the thing. That's like one of the most important dynamics on the B bomb site too. Is that train yard. You want to prevent the T's from being able to move up the train yard. If they're able to block off that CT rotation out the connector, then all of a sudden your chances go down dramatically.
Yeah.
But if your friends can get out of that choke point and start getting, sort of filling out those spaces at the back lines, suddenly, like, you have all these channels to throw grenades down. It starts to get really efficient for the CTs. So, yeah, it's a very important consideration in your setup as to the implication should you die.
But I think for people at home, I think for 95% of people, not taking a duel isn't even necessarily a concept.
Yeah, it doesn't...
Yeah, in a situations where we're seeing Zipex purely look for information, I think everybody at home is just going to fight.
Maybe they should play more Dark Souls, man. You've got to learn to run away. You've got to learn when you're beat. You've got to run away. Woo. Ooh, speaking of...
Yeah, now it's winnable for the Envy side. Really trying to plant the bomb. They've still got time to deal with this, but Zipex will make life very hard indeed. So XMS is between a rock and a Zipex.
Able to get 3 kills out of that minimal investment from the French side, so it's not all bad.
It's much more than I could ask for at the beginning of that round.
Yeah. I'm surprised at how XMS is able to spot Device there.
Let's watch Dupree.
Oh god.
He's definitely got some, maybe he's just a bit antsy. There's not much happening. I was about to say, you know, clearly Dupree's going to have a big scoreline on this map. You know, he's got those forward positions playing pop dog, and usually he's right up there. But maybe he's getting antsy. It's time to take the action to the tees. He's picked the perfect round for the P90. Oh, glorious stuff.
Didn't he survive the last round? I think he threw his rifle to someone and bought the P90. Anyway, it's all fallen apart very quickly despite his work, and they know where he is, so Zipex has a lot to do, but his grenades will give Envy all the information they need as to where the CTs are/were. But now there are so many smokes down that both teams can dance around them. Of course, it's the team with the advantages right now. Surely Zipex gets traded here, leaving Dupree alone, who has tried to reset the situation himself, going all the way back to connector.
That was a pretty big kill for Zipex. I think he was very close for Sixer actually seeing him over the top of the train. But managed to just eke out one more kill. Dupree in with a chance if he's good on the first shot. Also have to guess right as well. It's never an easy game. Aiming to take on the train. It's one of the hardest bomb sites because you have to look everywhere. And there it is. Easy frag for XMS. And EnVyUs with their second round on the board. They are staring down an Astralis that has 8 rounds already though. And still is drawing from quite the economy. Quite the bank.
Well, they've got nothing left now. So this is a big round. Envy could have a late comeback if they win this round. Be a bad time. What a crazy situation. 2 kills with the P90 and all of a sudden everything falls apart. Speaking of which, Zipex with an aggressive play on his own there. Manages to get away though. And again, credit to the consistency of these flashbangs from Envy. Dupree manages to escape, so Astralis turning up the aggression in this situation. Can they trade though if Dupree goes down? Apparently they can. Kiabi, there's frags all over the place now, all over the map. 3 versus 2. Zipex and Glaive take RPK down. Bomb plant has to get cancelled. And there's Glaive taking the planter down, so looking good for Envy, but it might just fall apart. If they lose this, will there be a force buy in the next rounds? Because taking 3 plays out from Astralis, there is something to capitalize on here for Envy.
There's definitely a chance. I don't think they really have. With how they've played so far, they've been very reliant on having utility to actually get in towards bomb sites. And with this economy, I don't think really you can go for a force buy in the same sense. Like, yeah, you can get CZs and a lot of utility, but it's still going to be really hard to push forward. Because you have to deal with the counter nades from Astralis as well. So, you know, without rifles, it's going to just be extremely tough. So I think this is a better choice long term for EnVyUs, even though it's very tempting to reset Astralis.
Punished having a nade in your hand. The very quick moving EnVyUs side with those pistols, but they will get sprayed down in the end.
XMS even gets a teammate.
Well. Yeah. It's good to see, again, like the previous rounds, those pop flash aggressions into team main. Astralis are amazing at that. I almost always see them actually convert with a frag off of those rounds, and to pick up the kills so early in the round against the T side is so valuable.
We actually seen like consistent aggression coming out from Astralis as well. I don't think we've had a single round where they've straight up played a default.
Yeah,
which is really cool to see, and they're doing a really good job of changing it up as to where they put on aggression and how they do it as well. We've seen Sivnix play aggressive on inner. We've seen Device taking aggressive peeks with the off as well on inner. Right now, people are just dying through smokes.
Dupree's having fun.
Yeah, he's having a great time, isn't he? He is the king of pop dog, it seems.
Time being, most certainly, and it seems that they have a good read as to where Sixer is. Device will pop in to put him out of his misery. So this does not look like a good first half for Envy. Only 2 of 13 rounds at the moment. 2 more to fight for, and the cash isn't really there for them. Do they give up this round and just play for a 3rd round? It seems that might be the case.
Yeah, it's a bit of a pill that is to swallow. I think that's the only reasonable option to go with at this point. And still, it's again 3 rounds. You give yourself that cushion to potentially lose the pistol and still be in it to a certain extent. More aggression coming out from Astralis.
Nice. Love it. It's really good to see. I think, again, it's just that difference between a good team and a very top level team, a tier 1 team. is that ability to find ways to always be aggressive, to just pressure, to poke, to get you get information in the course of that. You get some damage. You throw off their plans. You make it harder for them if you take away some map control that they needed. There's so many pluses to if you know how to do it well, and doing it well is all about making it as safe as possible. And to do that, use utility and stamina. Speaking of which, though, that was definitely quite a brave move by dupreeh. And perhaps due to Glaive's position, he felt the confidence to go for it. Things are getting a bit weird here, actually. Glaive could just back away. And re-engage, though, gets the double, of course, and everything is suddenly very different. As now Happy's the only man left, and he's only got a Deagle, and no Kevlar as well. I
was about to say, like, I wouldn't be surprised if you saw Glaive back off in that situation. I think maybe because he bungles his smoke a little bit, he decides to not fall off. But in that scenario, they've boxed in EnVyUs to the point where they can only go towards in or down pop, and they know about it, so they can make rotations accordingly, while Glaive is always going to be that constant nuisance that EnVyUs has to consider being in their back. He's going in for a double kill, works out as well. Just going to go into the last round of the first half, and still plenty of utility on the side of EnVyUs on everyone except for Sixer, pretty much. And I think even though it's a very one-sided score, I think it's fair to say that EnVy definitely have had opportunities to get into the game, and we're sitting at a much prettier halftime score than what we're looking at right now.
Zipex going for the crab walk peak
with the op.
But Sixer is ready for it. Maybe a surprise weapon in the with EnVy looking for just their third round of the half and the last round of the half. But there we go. How do EnVy capitalize on this? They still have control of Ivy with a player in position should a reaction push come in from Astralis. And in a previous round where Astralis lost some players, they did get quite aggressive in a number of areas. So EnVy, they've cleared out upper B area. They have presence towards Ivy. They can make that presence known if they want to.
Look at this, pretty much like all-in stack from Astralis on their end as well. They don't have too much utility to work with left. They have 2 smokes and a molly to really just fend off something for a significant amount of time, and obviously a lot of entry points to every site really on Train as a T. So they're just banking on numbers instead of just having the utility to hold off an eventual push. Now the fake is going to come towards the inner bomb site. I'm curious to see if EnVy is actually going to have any of the players actually sell themselves here.
RPK is making a lot of noise. That AWP might cause some problems. But let's see what these Astralis angles are like. It seems that they're not going to take the base immediately. Oh no, device gets exposed, but there was another CT looking through it looks like he was looking through the bomb site to the upper area, so maybe a mistake was made. Either way, the rotation's coming in towards the A bomb site, but maybe it's too late.
Yeah, this is pretty bad. dupreeh and Kirby sneaking in. Kirby, what can he find? Oh, that's a free one. Easy kill there for Kirby, getting some distraction as well. Perhaps that will create some space for dupreeh. Perhaps not, but he gets a great snap on the entry. Happy down. Now it's up to Scream and XMS as they hold their positions. Time is slowly but surely ticking away there on the bomb. Still though, Astralis looking to work into this. Kirby, will he go to pursue? Just looking to cover his teammate at the moment, but getting trapped in between the wall and the smoke. And that is the end of the round for Astralis. And EnVyUs pick up a third. A 12-3 scoreline, definitely a tough one, but... No, actually, I can't think of a bright side. I can't think of a silver
The bright side
lining.
is that they got the third round down.
I guess so. That is the... I don't know, man. It's going to be tough, isn't it? And it's just such a... The best thing about Astralis' train is just that it's so consistent because
solid.
It's just solid. They get good reads, they have the setups, they have the routine and the drills.
Funnily enough, the one thing that caught them this time around is I think the angle that Bardolph was talking about was basically like in between the two kind of silo thingies on the bomb chain, and that leaves you with about like half a model of a gap for T to actually walk out on higher.
Right.
It's kind of surprising to see a team like Astralis not necessarily being aware of it, or maybe they didn't communicate it properly.
I've never tried to look at that angle before.
I keep going back to it every single time, and I always get disappointed when I notice somebody's dropped down from higher and killed me. I still do it.
Well, Astralis charging in. Scream seemed to have no idea that they could be... Where's the communication? He was completely focused. I don't know if... He didn't seem to have any idea that they were charging the site.
Different frequencies on the walkie-talkies.
That was really weird. Looked like he was AFK.
Sixers just like, yep, I'm out. But I guess he didn't spot Dupree coming through. I guess that has to be it. If you just shoulder peeks towards Ivy, Dupree sneaks past, he catches the second guy. The information is going to be really too late. That has to be what happened.
Well, we've all seen how disgusting CZs are, so there's hope.
Oh yeah. How happy are you guys about that gun being back in the fashion of things?
I always like the CZ, so for me, it's fine.
I hate it with a passion.
It's fine.
I hate it with a passion.
What is wrong with you?
The concept of the weapon is so dumb that I can't wrap my head around it.
So
like,
we watched Twist from Liquid. He got 4 kills with 1 clip last week.
That's the thing.
That was so godlike.
4 kills with 1 clip.
I'm surprised that it goes straight to the top of Reddit.
But it's a kamikaze weapon that potentially that gives you the potential to wipe out, the better part of a team. There you go. CZs. What a weapon.
You know what? I don't. It's okay if one person, if once or twice someone gets 4 kills with it and with 1 clip, right? But it's like since everyone's gone back to it, it's clearly too powerful.
Oh yeah, no doubt. And the thing is, like, people forgot about it because obviously the way the CZ came into the meta was as a secondary for oppers, because you had the quick switch. It didn't have any delayed draw time on the weapon. And obviously, it was just completely broken when it came out. I think it was like Katowice 15, around that area, or maybe it was even before. Years are starting to blend apart.
That era of CZ just, for me, just ruined championships because.
Oh yeah, it wasn't fun to watch at all.
Horrible. I mean, on train, it was always good. It was just always generally good. Like, it just makes sense for that gun to be good on this map, on CT side in particular. But yeah, just the general usage has been quite alarming of late.
Yeah, it was just a matter of time. Like we saw it around the last major that people are gradually getting more and more into the weapon, because they nerfed
rifle,
it
basically.
They nerfed it into the ground and beyond really after the initial release of how the weapon was. They added the draw time. Obviously, they messed around with how much ammo you had and the accuracy of it, and then nobody used it anymore, so they reverted a lot of the changes, kept the draw timer. But it's essentially, if you don't have, if you only have a secondary weapon and going into a round, you're never affected by the draw timer.
Yeah. So this is turning into a mess. 3-on-3. The Deagles are out for the T side, or the Deagle is out. No, Dupree's got one as well, but he picks up an MP9. Happy force from his position.
Bomb is in a really awkward spot for the T's though. They have to cross into Sixer's crosshairs unless Sixer actually gives himself up. But he could just stay in that cubby and be perfectly fine. So just deciding. This I don't really like from Sixer. He's kind of putting himself in a bit of a useless position, but RPK seems to have a grip of things. It does leave them a little bit exposed from 7 train.
What damage can he do? Looks like it's just Device now with the Deagle. Ooh, that's a close couple shots. One more bullet would do it. But RPK escapes.
Happy's tagged up pretty heavily as well, so he could die to 1 bullet.
There it is. One more to go. Out comes the MP9 though.
It's a lot of money for RPK at least.
I was thinking, I want to compare the bullets of the MP9 with the CZ, because for me, the CZ is, I think, I would compare it to an MP9 with less bullets. Essentially, the way it plays, because it fires so quickly, and the bursts are insanely overpowered.
They're really good. But yeah, just the concept of that pistol just doesn't make sense to me, because it's, regardless, even if you pump the price up to 700 or something to that effect, and you don't have to do anything about the kill reward, because that's not necessarily like the reason why you buy the weapon, because if you take out an enemy, that's a loss of 4,500 plus on the enemy side for a $500 investment. And the fact that even now with aim punch being reduced as well, where when you don't have armor, that just makes the weapon even stronger.
Yeah, I think it should be, at this point, I think there's an argument for it to be $700, because investment
there's a
reward.
legitimate argument for it to be deleted from the game.
Yeah, but developers will never ever do that.
Oh no.
They'll just try to make everything else stronger instead. And here we go, there's a Glock push from Astralis, so Envy can make some more money. Happy getting some kills, XMS getting a few as well. So maybe the comeback is on.
Yeah, best case scenario obviously is for EnVyUs to start this half off. And like I said at the beginning of the game, I don't necessarily think it matters too much for EnVy whether or not they start on the CT side or the T side, as long as they can get some sort of momentum running on any of them. Obviously, they didn't get that going on the T side. There's no reason as to why they shouldn't be able to actually do a lot of damage here and pick up quite a few rounds. And again, there's no op on Astralis' side here on
Well, it could
the
be
first
a
buy
reason.
round as well.
I mean, with the full utility and full 8Ks of Astralis, they can always do some damage. And obviously, you have the M4s out, the MP9s still in the hands of Happy. Perhaps this could be an edge that Astralis could use to get themselves into an advantage. A device is just covering, actually. I think that's Dupree in front of him. Indeed, looking for that forwards engagement, just providing some really high levels of threat towards that alley position where there's two players. And the purpose of this might be to help draw players back away from T main, where the CTs are really deep at the moment. This is a really good setup from EnVyUs.
I just don't get too confident.
Oh, the bomb though.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That might entice EnVy to push yet further, but Astralis have support now, so who's going to work out for? EnVy don't go too far. There's a lot of time on the clock for Astralis.
And I like what XMS is doing around. I like the fact that he's staying aggressive behind these smokes instead of just giving up the map control that they fought so hard for. Because they've used a ton of utility. You can see there's nothing left on the side of EnVy, so they need to catch somebody off on Astralis. But I wish there were two people here, but XMS alone, it's going to get the work done.
See how he doesn't take the second fight. I love this stuff. He has enough.
He's done his part, you know? If everybody just gets one kill every round, you're good.
Yeah, I mean, look at the timing. Now there's a flank from the CTs through the halls. They flashbang. That was the only grenade left, having picked that one up though. But suddenly there are kills for Astralis. Suddenly it's a 3-on-3. That flank's going to be massive from XMS.
Yeah, they should know it's coming though. XMS gets off quite a few shots, down to 3, but still gets the kill. Zipex to get Scream though, and that will put it to a 2v2, so it starts to get really tense. Happy creeping from the flank, easy kill from him. And now it's down to Kirby. 2v2, easy frag as well. So that bomb gets tapped, finding a really good timing there, Kirby. Now this 1v1 is a bit favourable for this, finds the headshot straight away. And I'm pretty surprised that Astralis picked this one up. Partly because I think when they see EnVyUs with 2 men in T main, they have to clear that position first because they can't easily do anything else until that position is cleared.
Yeah.
And then they failed. And then like, well, we can't push that position now. We just have to go B. Even though EnVyUs should know that that's the only place we can go, we have to do it. And they still got the kills.
I think there's a bit of a mistake on the side of EnVyUs. RPK actually on the inner bomb side, and that's something you don't see very often from him. The fact that he decides to take the duel, I think it's perfectly fine to just allow Astralis to get a bomb plant or actually get down on the bomb side. Even though you don't have a lot of utility to clear them out, you still have a 2-man advantage that you can play off of. So just play behind the bomb train, wait for your rotation to come in, and then basically throw bodies at people because you don't have the utility to force people out of position. So him going down, obviously it's a great shot from Kirby, but you do give him an opportunity to get back into the game and actually get some control of the bomb site. Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. And again, like aggressive position takes from EnVyUs, and I like this. You can see because of the information that they've gotten from XMS, going to set up aggressively. And again, it's this weird inner setup from EnVy that I hate. Happy still going to be able to find 2 frags though. Bomb should be able to go down though.
Dupree looking to flank, but the flashbang just at the wrong time. That's the bomb as well.
Yeah.
Making a play towards Connector. I don't know if they're going for something next level, but they were surrounded by the CTs on both ends, unbeknownst to them. The last man standing, 1 versus 3, 40 seconds. But again, the bomb is far away, and XMS is just waiting for him to back up.
I'm so sad. Imagine if that's the way he gets the ace. Imagine if that's the way he gets the ace. That would have been super sick. What a sick one. This was an impressive round from Happy though. He just marched through them, just ran them through. Crazy stuff.
Yeah. Curious, so I guess Astralis in that scenario, because they were down in numbers, wanted to obviously cut off the rotations and see if they can get some cheap frags on Dupree, but obviously sometimes you just have to cut your losses and try to get a bomb plant. They're going to force up into this anyway though.
EnVyUs doing a pretty decent job.
And again, see 2 players towards the inner bomb side on EnVyUs side.
They're putting the trust in Scream. Anti-eco Scream. Oh, not going to work out quite there for EnVyUs. This is a really big problem back into the back lines. But still, these taps are finding their ways onto Astralis as they are oncoming to that A-bomb train. Oh, sexy stuff from Dupree. Can he find another one, though?
Oh, Sivnix was barely not in position to actually pounce on XMS there in that situation. I think he might have gotten spotted out by RPK. They do have the bomb, though, on Sivnix, and Dupree's got in a very forward position. He might get or run into a bit of an issue with RPK flanking around from stairs. Oh, he's going to find XMS, though. This is going to allow for a bomb plant.
Yeah, and maybe some positioning from Zipex if he thinks he has time, which he may well do. Ooh, what rain is that? 9 HP. RPK knows he's done some damage. Maybe even rung the bell as well. Zipex with Kevlar and helmet, so it's possible he got shot in the head earlier on. RPK.
He does have a smoke. That's really big in this situation because he doesn't have a defuse kit, so just put that on the smoke and see if you can force any sort of reaction out of Sivnix. But you have to have the bomb. Okay, or just kill him.
That works as well. Time for Envy to defuse the bomb, just about. Another round in the bag. They currently have half the score, just about to pass that mark with this defuse. Okay, Astralis, they only need 2 rounds, but the next one may not be one of them.
At this point, you just want to save up, get an op in the hands of Device, and see if you can work off your defaults. And that's, I think, Dupree stated multiple times in interviews that, you know, in an alternate universe he would be a main opper.
Oh really?
Yeah, no, he definitely wants. I know back in Copenhagen Wolves he wanted to op more, be a secondary op. But I'm not sure if that's like the instinct just every player has, that they feel like they can play with the op, and it's not necessarily always true. But definitely showcasing some skills with the scout there.
Yeah, that was really nice. Very strong damage. And it comes the set piece execution onto the A sites here for Astralis. EnVyUs, though, they will have seen this many times before, just jumping straight on top of the train. Scream wants to get himself into the action. One frag, then falls back in a way, allows XMS to get into the thick of things with that MP9. However, though, Astralis doing some damage here with these CZs. How much damage will they do? It's just Kirby left. Ooh, oh, needed one more bullet there for the frag. Would have died regardless. EnVyUs stay alive to tell the tale.
It's not necessarily, you know, pretty the way EnVyUs are going about dealing with these anti-ecos. They are getting rounds, though, which is obviously what matters in the end. But in that situation like that, XMS kind of halts for about a second and a half while waiting for the reload, and then it decides to push through without actually having the reload animation completed anyway. Instead of, you know, obviously the optimal solution in that scenario is you pull up a pistol if you're that adamant about denying the bomb plant. And he just did the halfway thing where he probably just realized his mistake as he's running through the smoke, but at that point it's too late. But it does like lead to a lot of heavy losses on the side of EnVyUs. Still no op on the side of Astralis though, even with that bomb plant.
I don't know how he's making that mistake though at this level of the game. Because I was going to mention that as well. I was
just
like, hey guys, I'm still reloading, but I'm here. Nice to see you. What you up to?
Just like when your brain lags half a second behind of what your instinct.
Well, Happy's got a lot of information, and he's being joined by Sixer, which is curious. Perhaps Sixer will push forward while Happy holds the angle, but Astralis may not wait around for this.
Oh, did he get spotted out? Yeah. Device has definitely seen the aggression in Ivy. Still takes the...
Whoa, that's unnecessary.
I think he used a flashbang, but it didn't work.
But even then, he heard the op shot going off after him, so I think at that point you should probably okay with just leaving behind.
Yeah, I heard a flash, but I didn't see where it was. So
XMS.
entirely. Yeah, XMS 5 versus 2. No answer to any of these kills just yet. Envy never seems to be on double figures, and mistake made from XMS, but Scream will clean up. Flashbang will allow Scream to go down for free, but Kirby, well, let's see what he can do. He's got 40 seconds. All the the players are on A, and that's him finished off. So only 4 rounds behind now, Envy.
Doing it. And again, we're seeing both sides really on their CT side setting the pace. It hasn't really been up to the T's to create really or decide what goes on in a lot of these rounds. And I think that's cool to see. Both teams are very well versed on how they want to basically mess up whatever setups that the T side are trying to do.
Yeah, it's so crucial to just be active on that CT side. It's so easy on a map like Train, especially for I think a lot of teams, especially the more inexperienced ones to just be like, well, we'll just play defensively. Because
Yeah.
that's enough against most T sides. But in this level, you just can't play like that. You have to take the most edges you can, and that's from proactive, aggressive, dynamic play. RPK should get a lot of kills here. The smoke will beat out the Molotov, but it won't beat out the spray of RPK. There's 4 for him. And the eco. It's Dupree, though, to get the bomb down. He's picked up the M4 as well. So perhaps some additional damage can be done for his 3rd kill. Flash into the mix, but the spray will do it. Another round for EnVyUs, but the money will be very welcome for Astralis.
Maybe we'll get to see that off coming out on the T side for Astralis for the first time in the SAC.
Yeah, that's really good money.
I think Dupree dropped off an op to device.
This is quite reminiscent of the original train. But getting 3 T rounds was like a really good half.
It's like 4 was unheard of.
Yeah.
It's like, oh man.
And if you actually got 1 round, it's like, oh, that's all right.
We can still
That's
do
fine.
this.
This is actually valuable.
It's a slow approach from Astralis so far. Way more Ivy focus on there, and this time around, Symphony's actually going to find Happy out in the middle of nowhere.
What was the play?
I think Happy wanted to play corner, got Molotov off, and instead of backing off, just wanted to get that aggressive pick. Similar to what we saw Device try to do in Ivy in their first half. Just gets caught off. And obviously alleviates a lot of pressure. Now it's going to be interesting to see how Envy plays this, if they're still going to be able to maintain aggression on their CT side. Because again, this is one of those tough situations where you have to do something really to put it to Astralis and not let them execute or get a lot of map control.
The flashback. We wonder, oh, that is a nice answer. There are grenades and bullets flying all over the place. And the push is coming in towards the A site. Scream not winning his duel, but a bomb has been spotted. So what remains of the CTs, i.e. XMS, can rotate to LPK, who gets taken down, doing the best he can. That is a failed flashbang. And now his position is known. Makes it easy for Astralis. Early advantages, and they manage to close the round. Finally, they make it to match point.
Ooh, look at the money too. They can't really buy properly, EnVyUs, and they obviously have to force it up. Scream with $1,400. Sucks to be Scream at this point. Surely someone will drop him something, maybe?
He's been a bit missing in this match anyway.
No, just the PT50 for him. Yeah. Well, it's going to be a tough one. Astralis doing a great job just sort of walking outside, finding a more chaotic round, which is more about the sort of deathmatch, and this could be it. EnVyUs going very aggressive here into the halls, and it's going to be Glaive now to try to receive this. They are still just going, and I think Glaive will hear the footsteps. Indeed, just throwing a Molotov down in his wake to prevent anyone from following. They are going to be sort of beginning to flank through the back halls. I do wonder if there'll be anyone just waiting directly for that. I think there is Dupree in position. Yeah, he's looking for it. So Astralis seem to have things under control here.
Very well done by Glaive there to block off any sort of quick flank. Scream's going to have a really tough time winning this duel.
Almost though. Almost, but not quite. And surely this is over. 1 versus 4. A consolation frag for Happy at the end there, but Astralis with the last 2 rounds. 16-11. Comeback was on for Envy until Happy got picked off in a very forward position, and maybe that sealed the deal for them.
Yeah, just a very, very straightforward, I think, Astralis CT side. I think we saw all the tenets of what makes them a very good trained team. Just like well-timed aggressions, they make it really safe, they're in, they're out. We didn't see a huge amount from Dupree. I think that's why we see the P90 coming out. He got a bit antsy there, but generally speaking, everybody did their jobs. Anything in particular from this train that stood out?
I mean, it's honestly both teams CT side. I don't necessarily think it's down to the fact that both teams play the 4T side. I think it was just a very dynamic CT side that makes it very difficult to play terrorists. So that was cool to see from both sides. Again, I think we could see Astralis dealing better with going down in man advantages than Envy did, but obviously that's kind of what you expect of Astralis. They are supposed to be the better team in this matchup.
Yeah, I think the Envy CT side was a lot scrappier than the Astralis one was in how the rounds were won. But the most interesting thing for me was just for viewers at home in using the CT side from both teams, but namely like Zipex as a lesson for when to take fights, when just to seek information and move back into a stronger position based on the info you have. So yeah, I think that's a good takeaway for people at home to kind of introduce into their own games.
And coming up next, we will have Inferno between these two sides. I think that's going to be a very fun map for us to watch, actually, because I think Envy, it's a good one for them. Obviously, Astralis have really deep map pool. We don't have to worry about their ability to play a map. So, any take on Inferno?
I think it should be a closer game. Where I have more faith in EnVyUs taking away Inferno from Astralis than I do them taking Train. And given what we saw, that even though it ends up being an Astralis win where they never necessarily feel super threatened, it's still a decent show from EnVyUs. So I have high hopes going in for Inferno.
Echoing Halvor's thoughts, I think we're going to see a tighter score per half than a dominating CT half for either team.
So what are the win conditions for EnVyUs then? The underdogs, what do they need to do?
Again, I think a lot of it comes down to how they play the T side, how efficient they are with getting banana control. Normally, in the past, when they've had success in Inferno, they've been kind of decimating whatever kind of defense they've seen on the V bomb sides. So I think that's a key for success. Again, maintaining their economy, basically the usual stuff, which can be an issue for these teams. But yeah, no, I think banana control is going to be massive for them. You'll see RPK and so on kind of work their way heavily there. And if he finds enough of a role to get steam, then it's going to be really tough for Astralis to stop.
That's awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing the RPK tank up in honor. Anything else we should look out for, James?
The focus is on Envy as the underdogs, obviously. I think mid to late round on the T side, seeing if they can take away information and space from the CT side and then capitalize on that with good timing.
All right, that's going to be tough to do against Astralis. I look forward to seeing what they can do. Obviously, we'll take a break now, but it is time for you guys to hit that bell, subscribe to the channel, make sure you never miss any Counter-Strike action here when we go live at ECS. Of course, there is still a lot of play left in this season, so you don't want to miss it. We'll catch you guys after the break for Inferno. See you then.
If you're a fan of crutches, then get your hands on this. But now let's focus on an even greater product, Taser.com, a competitive gaming platform.
Wow, James, that sure sounds amazing.
It is amazing, Dan. On Taser, you can find the toughest dudes in the galaxy.
I heard it's got all these great features for real gaming.
Yes, it has, Dan. Like a voice communication system. Just post one to your friends.
Wow, James, that sure is cutting-edge technology.
Radios must be within a 10-metre straight line with clear line of sight and sunny weather with no wind.
Do you keep getting wrecked by hacker noobs online? Introducing new Taser security system.
Wow, it's so lightweight. It feels like there's nothing inside.
That's correct, Dan. But there's more.
Behavioural index to keep you from playing with idiots. An easy way to send in your results. Multiple game titles. And here you can see a happy customer.
It's great!
If you sign up within the next 4 minutes, you will get these items for free. James White's best Christmas songs. Watermelon signed by Dan Black.
Fan är det här?
Hate to say I told you so.
I had to unmute your microphone, James, because you muted it again.
You put your phone away.
Yeah, my phone's put it away.
Marvelous.
Guess that makes us even, James.
I guess it does.
But now we can move on. Fantastic. Welcome back, guys. It is in front of time between EnVyUs and Astralis. Of course, EnVyUs are the underdogs, but I believe there is a lot to their game, and this is one of the maps where they really enjoy themselves. So I'm looking forward to seeing a lot from RPK. I mean, you already highlighted it in the pre-game, Halvor, that banana control RPK sort of just roaming around being the tank. And he is by far the most consistent force of EnVyUs, I think. Yeah,
which is kind of nice to be able to say nowadays, because for the longest time after he came back, started playing again, he really was a bit of a shadow of what he used to be. And again, like for us who've seen him at the very start of CSGO, seen him in CSS as well, you know, you have so high hopes going into every game, and you kind of you build up to that whenever you talk about him as well, because you know what he's capable of doing. And not really seeing him living up to those expectations is obviously not a lot of fun, but it's cool to see him that he's finally getting into it. And I think that's one of the reasons why we're seeing such a big spike in form, really, from EnVyUs as well. Not necessarily offline yet, but at least in online competition.
Yeah, I wasn't big on Source, so I didn't. Well, I wasn't even following the competitive scene yet, so I didn't see.
Not a lot of people did.
I didn't see the glory of that was RPK, but it's amazing to see, and I do wonder where.
Just imagine like Shocks on roids. That was pretty much RPK. Like him and Shoxy are just unreal. So and we've seen what Shocks have been able to do, and that's kind of what we expected from RPK the entire time.
So where do you think the ceiling is for RPK? Do you think it's higher than where he's playing now?
Yeah, I do. And I think for RPK, it's more about getting into not necessarily saying that the team he's in right now is the wrong team for him in that sense, but obviously he needs to like many players, be in the right environment to play at his peak. But I think the level he's showcasing right now is extremely high, to the point where it's, you know, there's no doubt that he's the standout player of EnVyUs, and with the way they're playing right now, that's not a bad feat to have, especially considering where he has been. So I think for a player like him, again, sky's the limit. I think we'll see. You know, you do have some talents in this game that just kind of constantly have that you never really lose hope in, that always have the chance to making it back and playing at an extremely high level. And I think he's one of those players.
What do you think Astralis aren't, winning more?
Why I think Astralis aren't winning more? It's a difference of things, really. Obviously, again, it's much harder to stay at the mountaintop than climbing up. When you have so many challenges, and again, people are going to look at your team with a microscope and figure out everything you're doing. So what eventually, or initially led you to success, is going to be taken away from you and be so much tougher to do. And I think that's one of the things that Astralis have run into. But I also think it's a matter of fact that their individual players necessarily haven't been playing at the same level as they did earlier in the year. But again, I think that's more of an ebb and flow thing. They're going to get back into the things. And again, we talk about constantly like how solid their just thought process around the game and how they build up their strats are, that they will always be a top contender.
Well, it's time to go for the Speedway. Or maybe not. Apex will put a stop there just for the moment, and the information is there as well for the team. So Kirby will stop the efforts towards B, although there is one additional man on the way. It's Happy running straight into Kirby. Oh, that makes things interesting.
This is... Okay, I'm still not sure what Scream is doing.
Losing the round, perhaps?
Yeah, that's definitely not a game-winning play. Initially, I think it was a very ballsy move of him to stay and wait for the rotation coming in from Astralis when Happy has the potential to pinch on Kirby. Because they've already moved one guy in Banana, so with Sipnik's gone already, I think that's... I think it's okay to assume that there's only going to be one more player towards B, so you pinch on him, basically, and even if you trade it out, you still get a bomb plant, and you have only one situation you could play off of. Instead, Scream runs back after pretty much Happy is clear at the B bomb site.
Ooh. This is interesting. I'm surprised Happy didn't go back towards the B bomb site.
They had to go pretty deep to get the bomb, though, so that might be what's playing on his mind, and now he's just waiting it out to sell the illusion of it.
Oh, that's interesting. I did wonder if Dupree would just stand behind the box and wait for a plant. Oh, man!
There we go.
He wanted the fancy way to finish things off. Nice.
Whoa.
Pent-up aggression there.
That's pretty BM. Can't be doing that.
Do you remember when that started upsetting people?
It was Get Right, I think. I think Get Right got particularly upset by it. I forget who was doing it, but...
Get Right's too nice. He should hang out with me.
Do you guys remember Shoxy after, I think it was FXCO's knifed Fifth Lauren, I think it was, on Cobble? This is like back in 2014. Shoxy got really angry at FXCO for knifing him in a situation where it wasn't necessarily, you know, necessary.
Make that money, man. People are too nice.
Yeah.
Where are the thugs at? Hey? Where are the lads? Just go to UK lands. It would be nice.
Mad lads.
Yeah. Kishima goes to enough UK lands. He must be a twat now. Is he on a team yet?
What?
Is he on a team, Kishima?
Kyo's not on team right now. He played like some of the qualifiers with the mixed team with Smuya and Sibo.
Ah, yes, I remember.
Or Sibu, or however you pronounce his name.
With FaZe looking like a very complete team, I wonder what the options are for Kishima.
He's in a bit of an awkward spot where he's not necessarily French anymore in that sense, right? He lives in the UK.
Well, I can join LDLC then. Alex is UK, right? But speaks French.
I mean, I think he's only UK and flag on HLTV, pretty much. I think he's lived in France for God knows how long. In any case, Kyo for LDLC wouldn't be a bad move, I suppose.
That'd be pretty cool.
I'm so sad that they failed to qualify for the minor because I want to see existent teams.
Oh,
Okay, this is winnable. Dan.
that's sexy stuff from Scream. Very doable indeed. Just more 1Ds. Why not? Scream has picked up a UMP though, so we might not see that. So work his way in. The spray, the double peek is good there. The CZ doing his job. It's just Kirby left. He's got maximum health against very weak players. So
Is there a diffuse kit on the site though? Because he doesn't have one. So this, yeah, like time is not working in his hand. I think it's just giving up the round at this point.
oh wow, this is awesome there from Scream. Again, you never know when it's going to happen, but Scream's always good for those crazy one-shots, and that's going to win the round for EnVyUs. That's a really important reset to their CT economy. What do Astralis do? I mean, they have to force buy.
Yeah, no, they can easily force into this again. Doesn't really do anything for you to do a clean save here unless you're banking on going a double op setup, which is highly unlikely on a map like Inferno. A lot of Mac 10s coming out from Envy.
Yeah, see how fast Envy play this, and there are a lot of smokes here for Astralis, and they haven't deployed any of them yet, so maybe this action towards the B-bomb site will make them slow things down. Device has a smoke grenade in tow, not sure if his teammate does. Indeed, Glaze does, so Team Astralis maybe wanting to play the long game with these smoke grenades. Still haven't deployed them towards B just yet. So it does seem that Astralis will want to run the clock down as much as possible, but they have to avoid losing another player. If it's a 5 versus 3, that may speed things up for Envy. Still 2 smokes here for Astralis.
Unfortunate timing for Device right there, and that's going to be the end of him. That's an easy bomb set for EnVyUs.
Yeah, that was really a good detail for them to go contact, because they know that Astralis are looking for the information to then throw the smoke. But if they see it on contact, that's too late, as we saw.
Yeah.
So it's a really good counterplay to when CTs like buy up the smokes and so on. Although if you are running into a stack, then you're probably still going to die. But
have to risk it a little bit.
Well, yeah, 5 versus 3, I think, is the green light.
yeah. Nice small
Alright.
details.
Much better anti-eco this time around, at least from EnVyUs than what we saw on Train. Train, they constantly got badgered down to like 1 or 2 players remaining. Never really got that economy settled. Obviously, it's going to be easier on the T side as well to build up a bit of an economy, but always helps to boost your confidence. Scream as well, especially because he had a very slow game on Train. So for him to get off to a hot start is obviously very beneficial for them.
So EnVyUs sometimes they go 3 to 5 Mac 10s in anti-ecos, right?
Yeah.
They're the only team in the professional scene I think that does that. So
They are the team that brought out the round 4, 5 Mac 10 cobble B rush as well. So
yeah. So
they do have a bit of a wonky approach to how they do it, and I think in certain situations, especially in a round where it's very evident that Astralis lose nothing by actually forcing up like they did in the previous round, I think it might be a bit too heavy at going 3+ Mac 10s.
Yeah. But in this round, I guess it's fine.
Yeah,
so.
again, but you kind of just don't want to take a bit too long of a step really and outplay yourself in that sense. Because you do know how strong pistols are. Like if I had to choose between a ZZ and a Mac 10 and I could get Kev on both options, I'd go with the ZZ every single time. Now Astralis basically having nothing to play for or play with. Just going to stack up on that B-bomb site. Scream is already cleared up B, so I'm assuming you're going to see rotation from Sixer any second now and just leave RPK and Banana.
Time for Scream to make some money. Oh, spots too, I think. Not spotted a single thing, so easy kill there. And then a follow-up as well. Getting those taps on the UMP. Tap, tap, tap.
That's where Kirby is as well.
Ooh. Yes, I was hoping Scream would get a taste of his own medicine. The eagle to the face.
It's 1v2. Go for it, Kiabi. Go! Go, Kiabi.
Believe in yourself. I still has head cav that he might want to hang on to into the next round.
Go. Be like the wind. Go. Be free.
Not having any of it.
He's taking the sensible route.
Yeah, and
someone
honestly,
has to be sensible. Not going to be me.
And in any case, if you're Envy in this situation, you don't want to hunt for it. It's not worth it. Even though you remove head kev on Kirby, is still going to have a solid buy because of the 3 kills. And yeah, you've already lost 3 players on Envy's side. For UMP as well.
It's a pretty big effort by Kirby, to be honest. It does hurt the money of quite a bit of EnVyUs, so...
Oh, we're seeing the ultimate greed play coming out from EnVyUs as well. Or no, okay, they're going to swap out at least one of the Mac 10s here. XMS sticking on with him though, so we'll see if he is going to be used as a bit of a meat shield. As to try to get contact somewhere.
I do like it because just 5 AKs, you don't have the running gun accuracy of the Mac 10. So having that like at least first man can be pretty useful. Oh, the grenades, the counter grenades are fantastic by Astralis. They totally outplay EnVyUs on Banana. But EnVyUs looking to double down to force the issue. And that's probably wise because they have given up 2 players already. You can't really just leave Banana after that. Have to get something out of those 2 players. And they have top Banana now. But they have no control towards top mid. And Astralis know that. Right now Astralis are playing EnVyUs. They have all the information.
And if you're Envy, you're kind of, well, because you've lost 2 members, you don't really have all the utility you need because you've spent so much actually regaining Banana control that they're in a situation where they more or less have to base their entire round on contact plays. That's why we're seeing them being kind of spread out, happy, hoping if you can find one pick that's going to create a rotation and eventually they can go towards B. But I think the only option really they have here that could potentially work is a contact play towards B. Issue is that they do have device posted up on coils with an op.
And Happy did something quite interesting there. Instead of showing himself, which, I mean, if he shows himself, it would definitely be the lurk. He just makes a step. And because there's no confirmation of information after the step, visual confirmation, they can't know if it's going to be the full A rotation or not. And it allows him to come into B with 3 men. So that's pretty nice, but you still have to just beat the defense, and they can't do it. So it's around to Astralis. EnVyUs in a hopeless spot, and Astralis played it perfectly by the book.
Yeah. Now we're seeing a little bit of the result of losing a couple of members there in that 3rd round. On Envy side, RPK only really being able to buy a AK if he wants to buy up for himself, but Scream probably going to drop off one of them unless they're deciding to go with an op. No, nobody's actually donating a weapon for RPK for no good reason.
What?
Scream had 9.4k.
Scream.
Yeah, no.
Come on, man.
This is.
Come on. You can't be doing this.
So when we talk about, you know, managing your economy as a bit of a basic concept of Counter-Strike, and it seems like these French teams like always find a way to surprise us with how they do it.
It's RPK. Give him the AK.
Yeah.
Someone give him the AK. He's like the MVP.
This is the weirdest thing that I have seen in a recent memory.
It just doesn't make sense on any level. I guess the only, like, the stretch you can go for is that Scream wants to save up for an op for either Happy or Sixer in an upcoming round.
Or they just want someone to be able to do that, basically, just be shielded up.
You can do that with an AK as well, though.
You can, yes.
RPK's a tank? He does that with the AK.
But the tank has firepower, right? Like, that's why you provide it with a, you know, massive missile.
What a weird... I'm so confused. I mean, there's 6 of them, right? There's 5 and plus the coach. How is this a reality? 2-1-2, Happy and Sixer trying to show that they don't need no RPK, and perhaps they don't because, well, there we go.
I mean, the only thing...
It means it wasn't a mistake.
Well, the only thing that I can see is that there's 2 things. There's one, RPK is just insanely quiet on comms and just didn't say anything. Or, because you can't imagine a world where he's like, Can you drop me? And Scream's like, no. No.
I feel like you can feel RPK's like evil eyes through TeamSpeak.
So it's either the lack of a communication, or they actually specifically wanted to save some money, and maybe they do think like that because of going to those massive Mac 10 rounds, where they're like, well, this guy's going to go in first anyway. He's the bait for the trade. Oof. Oh, that's a really nice shot. So maybe that was the plan. Just RPK, you are the baits. And in that case, they do save some money.
But in that case, I would rather just have someone else be the bait than RPK.
Yeah, I can see that.
Of all the players he chooses to send in first, is creating havoc in Banana. Device with a quick trade, but gets a little bit too aggressive for his own good. Same thing with Kirby as well. And it's really nice follow up from XMS, and that pretty much seals the deal. Glaive only stuck with it. I kind of liked the peak from Device because the weaponry for Astralis kind of sucked, and I feel like he has got an orb, and so if anything is around the corner but another AWP, he's probably fine to either win the duel, or if there's no one there, then they have the information to know that it's going to be A, and I feel like they're in a spot where they really need that info, and he was the best player to be in that position. So from that perspective, I do like Device's play. Yeah, I could definitely see the value behind it. But I think he could be fine by playing the slightly less passive angle, since he has an off. So there's a very high likelihood of him getting the first pick if EnVyUs decide to move on towards B. But I guess it is probably off of the fact that they want information and be able to stack up on a site. Doesn't quite pan out, so EnVyUs are going to get a 5th round, and so far a very good start, considering the fact that they did lose Pistol as well, and Glaive
just about
living on the edge.
That was hilarious. There was almost like a delay in the death animation there. Where it just started floating in the air.
Dies half a second after you fired the last bullet. It's travel time.
Well then, Device picks up some Kevlar to go with his Kevlar helmet to go with his AWP, which has just about been saved by Glaive. He'll continue with the CZ75.
Ooh.
We've got Kusta-esque plays.
I like this.
Yeah, we've seen this a lot from Kusta, and he often gets the early pick, but RPK will just be keeping the CTs honest by holding an off angle. There is a nice flash from RPK's position as well, where he just bounces a flash off the left wall, which goes into mid. Learned that one from Hiko and holding Inferno, but he was not expecting that.
That's just very solid map pressure from Astralis, with such a forward position on Device that's able to just send people aggressively in Banana. And again, with the passive setup from EnVyUs side, RPK doesn't really have the opportunity to clear both angles. So even though they don't get a weapon, this is a massive get for them.
Oh, this could be really good too, because the information spotted with jump peak. Glaive might find a good timing here for this Molotov. Toss it down.
Allows for the rotation to come in.
And also now there's the fear that he could be at sandbags, so they have to use utility, clean out sandbags. You can see there it is, the Molotov from the teaser. They just have to do it just to be safe. And that's important, because that might mean there's less utility now for that side take. They still have enough though. They are lacking. Oh no, there's one smoke left on screen. And here comes the push. XMS first man in. Oh wow, just lawnmower mode straight through Glaive.
Close. 20 seconds for that plant to go down, and it will. So now it is Operation Save the AWP. Sibek's trying to run distraction while Device gets across the cross. Perfect timing from him. Good support play, and the AWP escapes for the time being. See if the T's go for the hunt. But EnVyUs having a good T side so far, keeping the Astralis money poor.
Yeah, very solid so far. And again, a lot of the action is happening towards Banana, as we kind of expected. Obviously, a couple of wonky buys coming in from Astralis, so not expected that they do too much or put up too much resistance. But so far, pretty nicely done from EnVyUs. I think it's a tiny bit fortunate, obviously, that XMS finds the frag on Glaive while flashed. It's a really good flash from Glaive coming in from first oranges. And all he needs really in that situation is to get that one frag that's going to delay the push and actually allow EnVyUs up on the site. A bit of a pause coming in. Probably trying to figure out how they want to set up with a bit of a imperfect buy. They did manage to save the op on Device, which is obviously a big get for them. So he's going to have full utility as well with it. but the rest of them are not going to be able to have the same luxury. And this is something I've not seen enough of, in my opinion, on CT sides of Inferno, actually being able to utilize aggression towards the A-bomb side. We see obviously like a lot of the focus being towards Banana if you want to play aggressively on CT, but I think there's definitely like an undiscovered way of playing CT side aggressively towards the apartment area that not a lot of teams have figured out quite yet. But I think that's something that you have to figure out if you want to know, if you want to properly play low econ CT sides on this map.
Oh, what's Device up to? Oh, he's going for that awesome forward play that James mentioned that we see from Kusta. That's so fantastic. Sixer even looking for a challenge, but Device just smashes him down with the AWP play. And now there's pressure on EnVyUs to try to do something in response here. They're taking Banana. RPK with a great pick off there. The entry frag, it works out. It does take a lot of damage though. And Device has rotated towards A. Does he push with a flash? Could find a great timing here as he moves forwards. Still challenging these angles. And, oh, the flick is off. It's close though, but the info's there. He knows there has to be at least 2 players on Banana, which is big information.
One of the issues for EnVyUs right now is the fact that they've grouped up. They've pretty much spent the last 40 seconds in Banana with all members alive. So they have, yeah, like you can see, Dupree's gotten a really forward position. This allows for a stack on the B-bomb site. And Dupree should be able to at least get 1 frag, then bail out, and or potentially get 2. So Envy just being a bit too passive kind of screws with them here. Now they're just getting picked off. Really nice play by Dupree.
Yeah, again, he doesn't stop to take the fight with the other players. Just keeping the high ground. Fair chance he'd go down as well with all those players there. Just making sure he keeps control of this. So it's hard for the T's to plant the bomb. They are surrounded as well. Dupree just needs to stay alive here and run distraction, allow his teammates to get the kills, playing that really well. Again, we've seen good examples on the CT side of Train and now of Inferno. His presence is more of a threat than his gun in that situation, allowing his teammates to do the work. And they survive in numbers as well, which is what Astralis needs at the moment.
Definitely is.
That's a great round.
That was really solid. And again, it's partly because EnVyUs allowed them to get forward map control with stacking up so heavily towards Banana. So if you're EnVyUs in that scenario, it does suck, but oftentimes you just have to kind of live with the fact that you've given up so much map control that you commit to the B-bomb site. Even though it's going to be very obvious to Astralis, it might be your best bet regardless.
Astralis going for that boost setup. We see this at least a couple times per match it seems now on Inferno. The sprays in, the trade's there though, and Dupree just sits in position. Happy looks for him. Oh, the knife comes out. That's poor timing there for Dupree and allows an equalizing kill, which is a shame for Astralis after the work they've done.
But again, it's cool to see that Astralis are willing to play aggressively over towards that A-bomb site, because it does really mess up whatever map control. Again, like EnVyUs doesn't really have any map control at all at this point. Like they have vision over mid, but they have no idea what's going on over in apartments, no control over Banana. And to get Banana control at this point, they have to use quite a bit of utility to get up there safely, which again is going to take away from their really like oomph for an actual site take. RPK actually just being very ballsy, not using any utility at all, moving up there. Oh, I guess he doesn't really have any except for the smoke. Yeah, it's definitely potential for Astralis to just get 1 quick pick and then play extremely passive. And actually they're making just a blind rotation over towards B here with Stepnix playing extremely passive in Archway. So a lot of this is going to come down to Device here in Pit. No, Glaive, I mean.
Oh, that's a good position to play from. The smoke, of course, will allow EnVyUs to realize that he is there, but how will they find the kill on him? They can't exactly push the position. And Zipix has now found himself over towards Graveyard. Takes down Scream as he tries to occupy himself with that Pit presence. Glaive still just making noise as the T's are trapped on the site. In comes Device. There he goes. Oh, wow. Glaive straight through the smoke.
Oh, Sixer, no.
That's a really big frag. Glaive now in pursuit of Sixer. Can he find him? Yes, there it is. The defuse is live for the Astralis side. 4 rounds for them.
I'm not sure if Sixer had given away his position previously to that smoke either. I don't think, it didn't seem like at least Glaive had a good idea of where Sixer was playing for, so that smoke kind of gives up the jig. It's unfortunate for EnVyUs. They definitely had a good shot at actually winning that round. But again, it's a lot about like how Astralis decides to play these situations, how they never overcommit to taking fights. And again, Glaive could have very easily swung out wide after he puts down the smoke to try to deny a bomb plan or get a you know, cheap frag here or there. But
speaking of aggression, Halvor, here it is.
Love it.
They don't even get a chance to get the frags there. Down in through the crawl space. Dupree able to get one, spotted out. Zipex around the back.
God.
This is just absolutely ridiculous. Another frag in the back for him, just dismantling.
There's a minute 30
the
on the
push.
clock.
It's crazy, isn't
There's
it?
a minute 30 on the clock. What is going on?
Only one of them died as well in that mid-aggression. That's crazy. So crazy.
No one's close enough to hear Happy jump. Can he get 2 kills? That's the question. 1 kill's not good enough. He's got to find 2 people.
And Bump's so exposed as well.
There's a double peek. And Boiler will end the misery of Envy. That was so fast.
That's awesome to see on like an actual gun round, because usually you don't see it against anything but ecos really.
I wonder if they did this on the if you consider it's at least twice where Device has looked, he's put a smoke down and then looked through the smoke and not found anybody. Well, I mean, he did kill somebody one time, but I wonder if they noticed a lack of presence in those positions from Envy and they chose to exploit it with a play like that.
Yeah.
It's not something you often see from them against a buy round.
Oh. But you can definitely tell that Envy are very rigid in how they set up their default. It's always the same kind of a deal. Unless they want to get early banana control, they have RPK as a sole player towards pit, oftentimes. It's very possible that Astralis have gotten us a whiff of that, really, and that's why we're seeing so much aggression through middle, more so than, for instance, apps.
Very good info, though. Important challenge to win. He's got the bomb, and in fact, if his teammates get there to help him, there's utility to smoke off the bomb, but might not be the case. Kirby has to try to survive towards a he'll fall, and the bomb, that means, can be rotated towards that A site, which is unfortunate for Astralis, but there's definitely still an opportunity. Zipex, after all, who's on the rotation. Glaive, big frag.
These Ts don't have any Kevlar, so this is very doable. Well, not very doable, but it's doable for Astralis. And ooh,
I did
I wonder. Oh, okay, because he's outside. Couldn't tell from the X-ray. So 2-on-2. XMS of the AWP, 6 of the M4. No smoke grenade shenanigans this time from the T side. So maybe one of them gets choked out. Glaive, the distraction of the balcony allows Sixer to get the kill from the pit. Jump peaks. Nothing doing there for Zipex. He's got no kit either, which is maybe why he's starting to back off now. The T's trying to double peek, which is kind of scary with no Kevlar. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe they realized he wasn't going for it and tried to take him out, but that is one way to potentially lose the round with no Kevlar when he's not defusing the bomb.
That's a round, obviously, where you see the aggression of Astralis not panning out. Scream finding an early frag in window here on Dupree as he tries to find an early frag, and then the follow-up on Device, which really sets everything off balance. But still, like I'd like to see teams not deter from being aggressive off of those kind of plays. And ooh, still aggression coming out 5 HP on Device.
Man. So it looks like, I can only guess that whoever lost the AWP in the first place had a better spawn, and then Device went to retrieve it, and it all just collapsed.
By the way, I'm not sure if they set up the timing like that, but I like the detail that they throw the Molotov, that's in the fallback position first,
yeah,
and then the forward Molotov.
Just like fully bloomed by the time the guy has to retreat.
Exactly, yeah. It was a little bit too. It could have been a bit more. It could have been.
Yeah,
the timing could have been slightly better, but
yeah.
it was awesome. Yeah, that was
still done a ton of
right
damage on the guys playing B.
Yeah, that's a very good point. The health is very low. They've reinforced that position as well.
Oh, that's a shot. So right now, Astralis in a bit of no man's land. 3 players stacked over towards B, and I think this is a similar scenario as to what we saw in Train, really, where they just kind of have to bank on one bomb site being where they make their stand.
Yeah, and the information for EnVyUs now is so huge. They can obviously they have that man advantage. They can use it in Scream's case to try to ascertain what the setup is like for the CTs, and right now Scream's realizing, okay, there's no one here in middle, so it
Why
really
is he running,
suggests
though?
another stack. Does he think they're stacked towards A? Because they're moving in towards B. This doesn't really make much sense. Straight into Device, he gets the first flick shot as well. And this could go south if Device hits another couple of shots.
Oh, Device continues to deliver as Glaive makes a push through the smoke, but he won't be able to stop the bomb plant. Device is looking for an ace in this situation, but Kiabi will come in from the back. Now it's Sixer in construction versus 2. There's a kit onto Kiabi. Do they know where he is? He scopes. I don't know if it gave his position away. It doesn't look like it. Kiabi still looking towards construction, but the other end of it. Oh, very, very nice. Runs past the angle. I thought he was going to walk straight into the crosshair, but perfect play from Kiabi, and Astralis win around.
They bungled this massively. What on earth have they done? What have they done?
Again, it's just a weird situation where they have the man advantage, so they don't... They can actually throw bodies at an issue more so than not to actually get the information they need to make a good decision. And
this is why I mentioned mid to late round on the T side for MV, because it's not their strongest point.
It's definitely weird because if I'm in that game and I'm telling Scream to basically sacrifice himself towards that A bomb site just to figure out any sort of information.
That's exactly what I thought he was going to do.
Yeah, and instead he swings in, and especially because he makes a run for it as well through Speedway, so he gives up any sort of like sneaky momentum or like potential to do a proper backstab, and he doesn't really have any effect on the push at all.
Like, when Scream was around Arch, I was like, they have set this round up so well.
Yeah.
Like, it's perfect. But then they just, bungled it. Oh, well.
But now they have ZZ, so it's fine.
Yeah, they have ZZ. It is fine. It is very fine. Kirby is in position still towards the pit spot, which is really important. Obviously, some of these players do have armor, so that's going to help them out, but RPK doesn't.
Oh, Sixer didn't either. There we go. Down he goes to Device, but yeah, I can see RPK making the run for it, and he's going to get probably, heard by Device here. Actually gives up his position, decides to go aggressive. And meanwhile, Happy on a lurk.
Oh, this is so weird.
RPK!
Oh, wow. He didn't
now you just have to sit and wait. RPK just has to play this super passively and allow for Happy to get close.
Oh my god, this is so awkward. He's got 2 bullets.
Well done. Again, CZ's working out pretty nicely. I think they got all 5 kills.
That is
Who would have thunk it?
unbelievable. Yeah, that's so weird.
But if I'm not mistaken, Dupree had an op in quad side that round?
I think so, yeah.
Which is obviously not the weapon of choice for Dupree 99.9% of the time.
Credit to Envy though, they got up close around Boiler and so on and used the flashbangs for the close quarters engagements.
Yeah, that's something Envy are really, really good at, actually, setting themselves up for those close combat situations. Something they've always been really good at. All of Happy's teams have been really solid at. It's one of the reasons why they find so much success in their pistol rounds. It's not necessarily just because they have very strong pistols. They also set themselves up for success in a big way. And so far, this is looking to be a pretty nice T side for EnVyUs.
Yeah, they're definitely looking very good for 9 rounds. But there's still a couple of smokes for the Astralis side to play with. And with Sixer on the AWP, that's going to slow their movement down somewhat. So the smokes might actually be a bit more potent than otherwise they would be. Obviously, at this point, EnVyUs have all the relevant map control. This will have to make the play. Device lurking around the abs, trying to find the perfect timing to go in. He might have just found that timing. There it is. Tap, finds XMS, gets the gun on the way back out. Re-engagement here with the AK-47. The wild spray comes in. It's good for the kill onto Happy, and just like that, a trio of frags. Knives come out. Does Device go for it? Back to the AK. Sixer is able to evade him, but not for too long. Device with the cutoff, and that's the round for Astralis. What a weird one.
Yeah. While all of that is happening, Sipnix just takes out the entire banana crew from EnVyUs with the ZZ. I hate that weapon.
Not a fan. Not a fan.
Not a fan at all. I'm all about, like, I think it's fun that you have certain positions in the game, like, let's say drop room or pop dog, etc., where you can have alternative, usage in weapons and whatnot, but I just don't see...
Just make it crap like the revolver.
Yeah, no, honestly, just make it not be a thing. RPK is going to go aggressive into second mid. Actually spots out 2 people, so...
I like that, actually, like the jump peek through the window.
Yeah, instead of taking the challenge and just dying horribly.
That's actually awesome. I like that a lot. That's really cool. Okay, well, EnVyUs, they do respond to that information. They've got 4 towards A. It's quite a death trap they set up for Astralis should they want to push up towards top mid. They're going to run into these 2-man crossfire setups.
I'm a bit worried about how they approach holding apps in this kind of a situation, though. Obviously, it's a numbers game. They might not assume that Astralis are going to put 3 people out, apps, anything like that. But I don't see how XMS is going to get multiple frags to the set to pressure it. And ooh, a bit of a poor angle chosen from Glaive.
Trade though starts it all off, and he's going to come out on top after this is said and done. After the dust settles, well, looks like it's going to be a problem for Astralis. They still have to get the bomb planted and they're down a man. Plenty of time though, and the smoke will alleviate some pressure to free up Device for that plant.
Still a flash on Sixer's side. They do have Diffuse Kit as well. So time to play with here. It seems like Sixer's just going to hang out behind Quad here and wait for the rest of his teammates. Question is whether or not he's going to use the flash towards site or pit. Yeah. There we go.
Now it allows Scream to come in from the long area at the same time. So crossfires for both teams, but which one will prevail on the T1?
Envy nice
with the last kills. Sixer and Happy will get... oh no, so Happy gets a helmet for $350 in the next round.
That's the best feeling ever.
Kevlar. It is.
It's like, you get so angry when you've bought up like Kev, and then you don't get hit by a player, but you get hit by like a stray nade that just takes 1 armor off you. So annoying.
Yep, that's the GG.
Yeah, or you have a teammate who just shoots you at the end of the round. Shoots you in the chest. Thank you for that. I
feel like that's a punishable offense. If somebody does to someone, like during boot camp or something, if someone does that to you, they deserve to get, some actual punishment.
I may or may not have done that in the past.
2 people or punched people?
No. I just shot my mate when he just to annoy him. Yeah, I'm that
like
guy.
the worst kind of teammate, aren't you, Bartol?
I am, yeah. I am.
Oh, EnVyUs getting off to a strong start, at least this time around. Don't have to claw back from losing a pistol like they did in the first half. And we're not seeing an investment like we saw from EnVyUs side for the Danes, at least. No CZ, Kevlar. I guess this is off of the back of getting a bomb plant, so they want to get that 3rd round by.
Ooh, Happy going... Sixer going forward in isolation with the SMG.
Oh, what are you doing, Happy?
Oh my god.
Hungry for the kills. This is a bit of a mess for Envy, but perhaps RPK can clean it up. Not the wrong time to pull out a grenade. XMS will save him. That could have been even worse for Envy.
So with Happy right there, that was just, he was afraid to commit. Basically,
yeah.
He's like, this spot is not optimal, but you got to commit regardless.
When I see Happy do that, I'm kind of no pun intended, I'm kind of happy about the fact that he doesn't fully commit, because in the past he's had a bit of a tag on being a bit of an eco hunter. So the fact that he does show some sort of restraint, I like to see. I don't like the fact that he pulls out his knife instead of just backing off with his basically weapon pointed in the right direction as he falls back to side, because he knows players are right around the corner.
Yeah, he definitely got a bit flustered with that situation.
First buy round. Not a ton of utility, honestly, on the side of Astralis in terms of creating space for themselves. No Molotovs left. 4 smokes though, but they haven't gotten banana control properly.
Well, XMS is dead.
Yep. So,
Fact-finding mission from XMS. He found himself some facts.
Yeah. It's weird though, in a situation where Astralis don't actually get banana control with the utility used, Envy kind of just gift them an opportunity to get it back. And now Scream is left alone on that B bomb site, all alone with no utility either. So I'm super surprised that there hasn't been any sort of rotation over.
Trying to buy time with the UMP, but we are asking a lot of Scream in that situation. So
now you save if you're Envy. Sixer's already gotten himself to a really awkward position. He just has to bail out. Okay, smart decision.
So I guess Envy took calculated risks in just launching XMS down banana on his own.
I guess, he has an MP9, so if you can catch somebody off and you get a 1-for-1 trade, that's a situation you can be okay with, considering the weaponry, but I would have been, in that situation, happy with the fact that you didn't allow Astralis to get around the short wall of banana with all the utility that they used.
I'm surprised they, if I remember correctly, there was a smoke down the bottom of banana, but there was also a smoke by a tree. So I'm surprised that XMS just went on his own instead of going for Scream, so at least they can trade in that situation, because they've isolated all but one area, right? So it's I don't know, it seems like a half investment to me by only sending XMS when the other areas were smoked off.
It did seem like a bit of a situation where Envy would have been completely fine with just giving it up 1-for-1. And that was really all they were looking to do. It doesn't really seem like they had a long-term plan for that move. It doesn't really pan out as well either, seeing how there was no rotation over towards the B-bomb side. Lucrative round for Astralis. They're not dropping a lot of players, and that's going to go a long way if they end up losing this one.
It's always nice to see, for example, we saw Glaive there on the balcony, sort of just on the bridge, just pressuring through apps, just spamming it because it's so wall bangable. You can just, like, all those bullets hailing down does make it easier for your teammates to get in there, and it does disincentivize the CT side from
ever pushing.
Yeah, from pushing those positions, and so it's a bit annoying. But you can also do that, and it provides presence from very far away, and sort of the implication that you're going to be taking it as the T side without ever having to even put players there. So there is some small mind games to be played in that.
How long do you think it'll take before someone puts on their goggles and binoculars really and just figure out the angle from the CT perspective?
Right.
To basically do the counter wall bang. Because there's like a set angle that you have to use. There's a very limited amount of space you can stay in as a T to do that. And this is happy.
Yeah, this is a really nice push from Astralis. Good coordination, trying to wrap the bomb site. Happy's position indeed is strong, however. In Graveyard, there's a 3-1. The trade attempt is good. Glaive is there. So is Zipex with the fire, and that's pit cleared. So the post-plant setup is looking good here for Astralis.
Scream trying to pepper, but he won't be able to yield a kill. 3 high health players here for Astralis, and XMS has been spotted now, and Glaive does not need to re-peek anytime soon. Double peek comes in from a teammate, and the trade will be there for Astralis. Nice decisive play from the Danish side. Seems that Sixer has been given a difficult job where his teammates are playing on the site in a crossfire, but then he is up deep towards the arch position, so... Yeah. I mean, he had a UMP, so...
Getting one frag was decent in that situation, but I'm curious if it's a case of his only job is really to spot for information and then fall back, and that's a case of him not falling back far enough.
I do wonder if he had an M4, if he would have been closer to the library position, the corner wall.
Yeah, decided to
towards the
long
side.
CZ's out again in full force, and as you would expect, just loving life.
At least they decide they understand that they can go straight into B. Or, I mean, to be honest, there is no choice. Like if they actually waited around, and I think there is actually a world where there's some teams that would actually wait before going into B there because they haven't seen all 5 players, so they may not understand that they have a window of opportunity here to still take the round.
Oh my god!
If you beat the rotation of the CTs, which they've done effectively, and you can see that it's very difficult without Kevlar to do much here.
Kiabi got traded. I think he got traded through the smoke.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did.
Smoke. Traces. Well, it might be about damage now because the bomb is quite ticked. Device spotted in construction. I don't know that there's time to do a lot.
Oh. Nice shot from Device, but they're just trying to box them into it, to try to make them go up with the bomb. Not going to happen though, but still, like, for the investment that EnVyUs make in that round, being able to take 3 weapons away from Astralis is still very good. I would have been okay with them deciding to save those 2 AKs as well. Basically, drop them off to whoever didn't have a ZZ in hand, and
drop them off to not RPK.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the recovery there from Astralis was really good. They found the timing which gave them the best chance to win the rounds.
Yeah.
They could definitely have messed it up if they waited.
Oh, XMS? XMS?
Oh god, that is so awkward. God. That's so awkward.
But you should realize that, like, you should know at this point and at this level that the Molotov's going to spread eventually. And
yeah, but I think
given the trajectory of it, you should know where it spreads to as well.
I think he was just hoping that this would be the time when it doesn't spread to where he's standing. It's wishful thinking, Alvor.
Hoping is something you can do in church.
I like that. 3 players looking for this duel. Scream still going to go back and re-peek and of course deliver a kill. Why not? XMS being so teased, but he will fall off. Smart stuff.
At least they know the position from Kirby.
Scream still going for it. Flashes from teammates, and he is holding this down with some support, but
it's very well recovered from EnVyUs there. Okay.
Oh dear. What? I think because he was still moving.
Running
when he took
accuracy.
his shot, it's just like, this bullet's going to go this way.
Oh, you hate to see it.
Yeah, great hold from EnVyUs. They did a fantastic job here. The flashbang, that flashbang in particular for Paul, brilliant stuff there for EnVyUs. I mean, you guys just spoke about the flash play.
Yeah, EnVyUs do set themselves really well up with flashbangs, actually. So it's more so noticeable with them than a lot of other teams, and I'm not sure why it's so evident with them compared to other ones.
Well, the apps take here from Astralis, the default that's being set up as they start to investigate Banana as well.
And I do have to say that so far, when we've seen, trying to get banana control, EnVyUs have been, obviously they decided to invest a lot more utility into it whenever they wanted to take banana control, but they've also been a lot more successful with it than what we've seen from Astralis.
Six delivering the second kill. There are flashes. His teammate will go down. Can Glaive get the second one? He can. Man advantage for his side. Bomb needs to be collected. And I think Zipex making his way onto the site. Scream picked off in the rotation. And that might just shut down the round. XMS, surely he's just been spotted. Device makes his way into the pit, and that is the round over.
I'm not sure about Scream's run there.
I think this is one of those situations where you're just so certain that Astralis have committed everything they have towards that A-bomb site.
Yeah, it's also possible again that you could get the miscommunications where someone could have called like all 8.
Yeah.
They're all 8, and so at that point you sort of drop your guard and you're like, okay, this is the fastest
The
route.
lazy information call where you go like, yeah, everybody's here.
I love those. I love those calls.
Oh yeah.
Or when someone just says, it's A. That's the worst.
Again, punchable offense.
What does that mean? Someone threw a flashbang. Oh, okay. Let's all rotate A then. They've planted A. Oh, well, would you look at that? Dupree has some support from his teammate. XMS will he be checked for though?
How is he
Not quite
still
yet. The reload comes in. He tries to punish it, holding the Molotov, and he's still alive.
What the hell?
And there we go, device to punish. Super awkward stuff. But 3 players alive for Astralis. They've got the bomb as well. And they're not committing to anything just yet. Keeping the bomb in a safe place while they identify where Happy is. You never know where Monsieur Happy will be lurking. But often when he's the last man standing, he doesn't have a shift button. He's going from the back. And may end up meeting the bomb.
Still hasn't moved though. Alright, so Happy does have the potential to actually pick up a device here and find a weapon, but without Kevlar kit, obviously very limited as to what he can hope to do in the grand scheme of things. But again, economic damage being done if he's able to find that third frag. Or just hold on to an AK.
Denied. Device guarding the guns.
Having his hall pass revoked.
What is a hall pass? I don't know what a hall pass is.
I think it's from like US schools when you had to like go to the bathroom during class break. You're given a hall pass. So when the hall monitor, whatever the guy who's like tasked to just walk around in the halls finds you, you're golden.
I have this pass.
Yeah, I'm allowed to do whatever I want.
Look at my pass.
It's all access.
Damn, hall pass. But I've never needed a hall pass.
See, now I want to see Sixer go wide and try to just wall bang the guy on the bridge. Because why not? Okay.
Isn't there a film called Hall Pass?
Probably is.
Probably, yeah.
Some trashy film, probably. Let's make a film named after the pass you get when you need to take a slash.
Again, Envy playing passively in banana, so banana control given up. But Astralis haven't really seemed too keen on actually taking a lot of banana control. So gonna come out towards A instead. Oh, is there gonna be a gap in that smoke?
Ooh.
That would have been so sick if there's actually a gap there.
Kirby's made his way towards Speedway. Has he been spotted by Scream? Is there a plan B here for Astralis? They have reasonable positioning. The bomb is now in library. So if Kirby can get a pick, but Scream has seen him.
That's unfortunate, but that might actually force or like set the rotation over towards B because they expect a B split to come in here.
Glaive might shoot his teammate.
Oh.
And it all kicks off. RPK with great burst, but can he find a second one? Device will take him down to the balcony position, and there Sixer goes. Taken out by Zipex, maybe committing to one peak. And that might just be the round, although Envy are close.
I wonder how much money, what the money situation is like for them. Device takes down XMS, and indeed, they are without any cash. It's a save for them. So if Scream can save the AK, they can have a player that can do something in the following round, but yeah, it's looking pretty rough for EnVyUs. They're really losing grip of this match now. Astralis moving to 13 rounds. Looking like they're setting themselves up for the W here.
I mean, what's interesting to me is that one of the first teams I saw actually experimenting with aggression towards, especially apps, was EnVyUs initially when Inferno was still a bit fresher. So a bit worried about the fact that we haven't seen too much of that. We saw the one pistol round where they had a lot of action happening in apps, obviously, but like 4 buy rounds as well. Trying to put pressure on the T side, much more like what we saw Astralis do on their CT side, even though it didn't necessarily give them a massive net gain in rounds over the course of the first half. I still think it's the right way to approach it, especially because Astralis haven't really shown any big interest of taking Banana super hard in a lot of the default rounds.
Fast banana take from Astralis. Oh, caught off guard. I love it. Very fast anti-eco round. And there's no chance for EnVyUs to respond. They just are completely outpaced in this one. And that's really cool too. Astralis, they have yet to break the choke point, not forcing the issue. I'm going to be doubling back towards A now that they've got the information as to where EnVyUs are.
That's an important kill from Zipex, especially as rifles have been collected. He will eventually go down, so what does Happy choose to do? The bomb's just been planted, and there are his options taken away. Dupree advancing through CT spawn. 14-11 does EnVy go back in for the buy. 5,500 average for the side. See what the AWP situation is for them. And there won't be one.
Yeah. I think that's fine, especially because we've seen Sixer play towards the A site more often than not. I think Op is not going to have too much of an impact unless he wants to go aggressive like we saw Device do. Okay, a bit of a hopeful peek from Zipnix there, not checking towards Boiler.
Yep.
But at least we see some forward positioning from EnVyUs as well, and that's going to net them an early kill. And again, we see that double molly combo. Oh god, that's hopeful.
Yeah, good response from Astralis. They lose that player in apps. Go straight for an explosion up towards top banana, take that map control away, force the fight, and actually even things up as well with that kill onto Scream. So now, whilst all that has been happening, Dupree's been clearing out the apps. So Astralis are a team that are always really good at maintaining map control whilst doing things at the same time.
Yeah.
Whereas some teams, they, as you said, Halvor, are very rigid with their defaults and aren't as malleable as Astralis are in this way.
I still like the way EnVyUs are set up here. Flash is going to be perfect though.
Oh,
40
wow.
is actually going to find Happy as well.
That's huge.
Yeah. If they get the 1-for-1 trade in that situation, Happy is still in a similar situation as we saw with Glaive, where his single goal is just to survive for as long as possible, and that could be enough. He doesn't need to get a second kill in that round as well.
I would love to see a breakdown of that round because you saw Dupree pull a knife out. So for trajectory purposes, the smoke is already on the balcony, and he just runs off the balcony with the timing where the flashbangs land to flash the CT players, and then away he goes. So I'd love to see where those flashes went and the timing of them, because that was a pretty strong strat.
Yeah, definitely hit RPK. I'm not sure if Happy got flashed in the same go. I'm not really sure like where Happy is actually aiming towards. If he's basically just aiming straight up from below the balcony up towards it, then obviously he's going to get flashed by those as well.
There we go. There were 2 flashes involved. I think Happy was focused on a short area, looking over the hay bales. And that's before we even mentioned that Scream just ran into the corner, but he was quite obviously heard by the T's who were close. Yeah, maybe he thought they'd be further away if there were Molotovs down, but they weren't. And they just sprayed him. They're like, I hear Scream, he's probably in this corner, let's spray the corner. And away Scream went, launched into the birds.
And I think it was a situation where he saw the double mollies coming in for sandbags and obviously his exit route, so he figured, this is the best hope I have of actually doing anything. Doesn't quite pan out, and instead, Astralis on map point. Decent enough buy coming in, considering the situation EnVyUs find themselves in. Not going to have all the perfect weaponry, but not too bad. And again, though, it's still would like to see EnVyUs starting off the round in a similar fashion as to what they did, but I don't want to see aggression on both sides of the map from the CT side, but either opts to just have an aggressive stance in banana or actually try to take apps control. It seems like they're doing a boost instead in quad.
Yeah, and they all hear Astralis running about. But again, this is Astralis' default. You know, they got that top banana control, so they're sort of just taking apps. They're not looking to go too hard into top mid just yet. They're balanced, just as you said, you know, not too aggressive in one spot if they're aggressive elsewhere. And speaking of which, that's a good frag from XMS. And given that, Astralis will say, you know what, we'll give this one up. We are going to go back towards top middle. We do not like the push into B there. That contact play failed. There's the flashbang for dupreeh. Take anybody off of the angles here as he pushes out towards quad. Oh, Glaive getting the boost onto dupreeh.
There's a flash for Sixer, and that's the kind of play I would have expected to see earlier on. But again, he didn't have the M4 last time, and this time it works out. The M4, longer range, the flashbangs from his teammates, but can he support a short player? He can. Crossfire working out very well, as are the trades for Envy in this round. They're only 4 behind, looking likely for 3. Happy takes out Kiabi. So they survive with 4 players as well, crucial for their economy at this point.
That was really cool, by the way, because Sixer throws the flash for his teammates to play off of around quad, as he's getting flashed into the arch peak. Yeah. That's really awesome.
Again, EnVyUs setting up themselves in really good positions with flashes.
That was very cool.
Because normally in a position like that, if you're Sixer, it's just really tough to play if you're getting pinched from arch at the same time as they're allowed to push up pretty far as T's on the quad side as well, because you don't really have anywhere to go. You don't have a cubby anymore that's deep enough for you to hide in without being exposed from multiple positions. So yeah, setting yourselves up with flashes like that is just really well done. And on Astralis' end, I think it's a perfectly valid play for them to go for the contact towards B, because they haven't really done it up to this point either. They still have rounds to play off of. Again, we're seeing the boost on quad because that didn't get spotted out in the previous round, so it's still, I guess, an unknown entity for Astralis to deal with. Oh,
whoa!
Ooh.
You have to be joking.
Well done.
That's what happens when device is only AK.
Yeah.
dupreeh around the boiler position with the AWP at the moment, looking for an opening on the balcony.
Astralis again just deciding to go on contact here after finding the first frag. Did this in the previous round results. Really well done by XMS though to find 2 frags. Meanwhile, Sixer finds Siblings as well. dupreeh's gonna get the trade, but they don't really gain any ground off of this. And the refit doesn't work out. So all by his lonesome, Kirby tries to take over that B-bomb side finally, but XMS did a really, really good job there. I think the only thing you can really fault Astralis on doing is probably not being grouped up enough to potentially get a trade, but I think that was more down to XMS doing a really good job. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah, this was really good. There's a trade frag attempt, failed. I don't think Glaive could even see where XMS was. He was so fast. And here's the half buy from Astralis. They want to save so they can have a full buy for the last rounds, so they can get that win. And who knows, maybe they can do some huge damage in this round. Maybe not.
Bit of an awkward situation for Screen to be in. It seems like he wants to commit fully in a situation where he doesn't necessarily have to. It still works out for them. So only 1 player left on the side of Astralis, and so he's going to find Happy, but EnVyUs looking pretty good as of right now. Going to have a full buy, all the utility in the world as they go up against not so great. Actually, ooh, that's a bit of interesting. dupreeh obviously having that AK in the previous round.
I kind of like that he went for the AK in the previous round.
But now he doesn't have the utility, and we've seen so far what Astralis have been successful with is predominantly actually setting up with a lot of utility towards that A-bomb site. So they're going to be lacking in that department. And it's also, again, going to limit the amount of utility they can use to take banana control if they want to choose that.
Maybe they'll sort of put dupreeh in a position where he can make an individual play.
Oh, he's actually going to go for a Galil instead of an AK, so not deciding to skip. But that makes the buy in the previous round even a bit weirder for me.
Double orb
as well.
For EnVyUs.
Oh, I'm not a big fan of that.
Yeah, Happy's picked up the second one. He's really good with the AWP, but Inferno, is it the right map?
I think like rotations become way too hard unless you find a lot initially. If Astralis decides to slow play this, then I think it's going to be really tough for EnVyUs. Like if EnVyUs are not the ones to be the aggressor and find the opening frags, then they might be in for a bit of a rough time. And it is going to be a slow approach from Astralis as well. Again, not deciding to take banana control super early with a lot of utility, so they're still holding on to a lot of that. They haven't met a lot of resistance really either in banana in that sense. Seems like EnVyUs are pretty happy and content with giving up banana control early on, instead of setting up with a boost on B, similar to what we saw a couple of rounds ago. We saw the setup with Scream towards Coils and XMS on the boosts. So we're seeing smokes being deployed in mid. It's just a slow approach from Astralis, and again, they've done a really good job of actually holding on to essential utility up to this point. Still have the Molotovs for pit.
CT flashbang was pretty deep. Might tell him that someone's close. Happy willing to hold the angle and not give up that map control, but now he might be in trouble. Manages to escape and even take down Dupree. 37 seconds left, but the bomb is heading towards the B bomb site. Will they be able to wrap with one player? Scream so close, but not quite landing the shot there. Going for another aggression through the smoke. Will XMS be checked for? They'll have to worry about new box as well. 1 for 1, 3 on 3.
It's big damage done either side. Pete still running amok around the smoke with the orb rotation to construction.
On the Sipnix though, and a prime position, he's going to go completely unnoticed here.
This is what you talked about as well. The double AWP on the retake here on these rotations.
So what do you do in this situation?
They don't have any utility to use either. They've got kits, but flashbangs and smokes would go a long way here. So indeed, great angle. The spray is coming down there, and it's finished off by Kirby. 16 to 14, Astralis put it over the line in the end. It was a good effort from EnVyUs though, and I think, you know, we set it up like this, I think, in the pre-game. But EnVyUs no slouches on Inferno.
No, definitely not. We've seen some great games from them, and I don't think this was a bad game from them initially, or either, even though they don't get the W in the end. Still think it's a bit of a mistake on them going double up in the last round, especially with how their CT setup had been working with not due to the ops, really. We didn't really see ops have an impact on their CT side too much. As it was, we saw Sixer having most success when he was on a rifle. Same thing with Happy, too. It's a bit of a awkward decision, in my opinion.
Yeah, I did wonder how that would play out for them, and didn't play out the way they wanted to in that last round. So narrowly losing the match, got to rue that one, but we did expect a better performance from them on Inferno, and I think they delivered in that respect. However, it is Astralis who take both W's here today versus Envy.
Yeah, I mean, as far as standout performances go, I think we saw some good stuff from Monsieur Device. Obviously, though, it's as far as EnVyUs go, I think Happy's been having a consistent game. They actually have a pretty even distribution across the board, but yeah, it's been interesting to see Happy AWPing more lately. I do think it suits him. He decides to pick it up.
He's definitely a capable operator, but I do think